Well, hello there, everybody. It is Thursday. Yeah, just jamming out there to a little bit of the Allman Brothers. Yeah, man, phenomenal album. 51 years. Wow. Woo. But anyway, in memory of Elizabeth Reed, Dwayne and Allman and Greg. Yeah, anyway, so how are y'all? Good to see you. Hope you're having a fabulous day. I am, and loving it all the way. And there I am, actually live. Well, all right. Is this really an illusion? So, how many of you have seen the cat that was in there? Hey, Ruby, happy birthday, Gilbert. Uh, man, as I said earlier, let it be the best. This kick ass. That's what I got to say. And I'll just speak favor over you and all of us. Yeah. Nothing missing, nothing broken. And, favor in my world means that I always have the very best of what life has to offer. Yeah. So, when you speak favor to the spirits, you're saying, hey, the very best of what the ethereal has to offer. And I think it's got a lot to offer. So how is everybody? So good to see you. Hey, Street Mom, what's good to see you, darling? Gloria, how you doing? Denver, Sloan, Stephen, good to see you. Paul, Joe, and good to see you as well. Elderberry, what's up? Bosto, baby. That's what I got to say. And again, happy birthday. Go, what's up? John Price. Sun never sets. It's a perpetual light show, John. What can I say? Yeah, Trip the Light, fantastic, isn't it? Hey, Doris, good to see you, dear. Joe Sapien, hello, Big Al. Good to see you. Big Al says, just be a little patient. Cards are coming. That's a monumental task, no doubt. Bonnie, good to see you, darling. Susie Q, what's up? There's a song about you. In fact, there's a song about all of us, I think. Let's see. And I just speak, that prosperity thing, that nothing missing, nothing broken. Someone asked, they said, new to the channel, says your stuff is, as the person said, she said, interesting is an understatement. She says, I'm curious, what is in your office? There's a lot of stuff in my office. It's a portal here. Ain't no doubt about it. Got Sanji, so Sanji always is, I don't know if he's the pilot. I may be the voice, but yeah. Sanji is always here. And man, I got to tell you, Sanji is heavy too. Heavy. Let's see. Oh, Fortuna. Mm-hmm. How many of you know who and what Fortuna is? Yeah. Goes way back. And it's interesting, we all have things in our offices, mementos, pictures, whatever. Hey, Isby, what's up? Good to see you, Lost in Space. Posey, hello. Good to see you at the Maelstrom. So Fortuna, she's a Roman goddess. Fortuna is the Roman goddess of fortune, chance, and prosperity, and one of the most popular Roman deities during the period of Tullius. Excuse me. Whoa. Mixed a little bit of cherry juice with that. Holy crap. She is the Roman adaptation of the Greek goddess of fortune, Tyche. Other names for Fortuna, there's a lot of them. They just go all the way. She is usually portrayed standing, blindfolded, wearing a rich dress, holding either a cornucopia, rudder ball, or wheel of fortune. Yeah. Yeah, so I always just set her up here. Hey, if think about it. If you've ever been trained in visualization, it helps if you have something. I mean, how would you define prosperity? Yeah. How would it look? Well, it's definitely feminine. There's no doubt about it. Prosperity is not male in its energy. That's just my opinion. Humble, but as it may be, I think that it's really just it is feminine. It has that divine feminine feeling because prosperity is birth, it's increase, it's abundance, health, mind. Yeah. So hey, Lauren, how you doing, darling? Bernadette, good to see you. So just my opinion, and oh, there you go. Thank you. Let me get that. I talked to Marsha Price. Got so much of her work. If y'all haven't seen, and I put her contact down there. This is Marsha's work. I mean, folks, it is just, there is the anaconda. Mm-hmm. Is that this far out? That's all I got to say. I got a lot of stuff. As you can see, it's heavy. These are all over. This is again more of Marsha's fabulous work that is like all over my office. Y'all wanted to know. This one I really love. As you can see, Tree of Life. Jenna painted this one. We got some really talented people. This was one of our soul tribes, Jenna. So is that just cool? And look at the sigil. Mm-hmm. Let's see. More pyramids. Mm-hmm. That one's pretty good as well. I really am into incense. I mean, I have a lot of that, burned sandalwood. So anyway, so it's like all over, man. It's saturated in here. So yeah, so there you go for the individual who wanted to know what is in that. That's just a little peek. All right. So what else is happening? I love it. All right. Got some good stuff here. How are y'all doing? Danny, how are you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, sandalwood, it's one of those I have found that it really invokes this energy. And if you get the pure sandalwood, I don't make anything off it, but I have found this to be just incredible. When I open it up, it just, wow, the aroma. Whew. So I don't know if you can see that, but yeah. And put a little bit of this. Oh yeah, guarantee it, guarantee it. All right, where can I get the incense? I got this, oddly enough, through a recommendation of a very powerful witch. Yeah, you can get it on Amazon. It's really it's expensive, but it's good. And the other, yeah. So let me get some more of this here pomegranate and cherry juice today. Just had to tone it down. I have black copal, yes, and have the same brand. Oh, Danny, isn't that interesting? So yeah, it's high quality material. So folks, when we talk about it here, we walk it as much as we talk it. Is the best that we can. We're all subject to failure. That's just the glorious part of it. If we didn't fuck up once in a while, it would just be a real bummer. Yeah, I did the F-bomb thing, but yeah, it's expressive. Hey, go, what's up? Good for Danny. You're right. Good for taking negative entities and energies away. I will say this, in my little setup I have over here, there was some intense waves earlier this week. I mean, intense. And this is when it's part of, what I consider to be in the arsenal. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it helps us to learn. It does. It does. It does. It does. All right. So continuing real quickly with experiment number 4. Let me get this mic test 1, 2. So yeah, got the book, and I wanted to bring this up because I got another doozy. I mean, oh yeah, y'all are gonna love this one. When this one came across, it's I just have to let y'all see it. All right, so here we go. So on with Pam's book, I'm not going to read all of this, but I had to get this in. Lining up your ducks, or what coherence is. And I just dig this, folks. Most people think that they can incite change only by addressing God, whoever God is, with some screech for help. But since we know God is the force field that runs the universe, we also know every thought incites change. Every time we think of anything, be it a silent, fat skirt makes her look like John Travolta in Hairspray, or I'll commit Harry Carey if I don't get that rinse, we influence the field of infinite potentiality. I think I should probably repeat that every single thought affects the FP, the field of possibility, the field of potentiality. She says the only reason we don't change water into wine or heal cancer with one touch is because our thoughts are scattered all over the freaking place. Instead of being one constant, well-aimed tuning fork, our thoughts are more like a junior high school band of the beginning trumpet players. And, I was part of that Horace scene. In 6th grade, where I began to actually band, it sucked. I wonder how Mr. Foster did it. I don't know. Anyway, I digress. I say, on one hand, we pray for things to work out, but on the other, we worry they won't. My wife had told me when we first met, and it's amazing how quickly time goes, she was a professional, constant worrier. And I told her, I said, hon, what you really are is a master manifester. I said, it's just in a different polarity. And it's taken a time, but she's changed that. And it's amazing. I have a sense there's a lot of y'all that are out there as well. Master worriers. That means if you are a master worrier, you've already conquered 95% of this. Your last 5% is that you've got to change the polarity. And once you change that polarity, get ready, baby. I hope you've got that 5-point seatbelt strapped in, because you're going to need it. At the same time, we imagine a positive outcome. We secretly think optimism is a bunch of bullshit. We want to commit to a relationship with so-and-so, but what if he leaves? What if he cheats on me? What if he's just after for something that I have? You see, we want to make money, but didn't the Bible say something about camels and rich people in the eye of the needle? Suckers. The force is literally bouncing off the walls. Go this way. No. Wait, go that way. It's knocking around like a lightning bug in a mason jar. It's been dissipated because we have no clear bead on what we really want. It's not that the field of potentiality isn't answering our prayers. It's just that we're praying for too many things. Now, people who want to have or get out of debt, well, first of all, you need to just find out, how'd you get in debt? You see, debt is a belief system. Yeah. But my point is, So you want to make more money or increase or what have you. Problem is it's very difficult because is that the old proverb says, if you're trying to build your house in the middle of a hurricane, it ain't going to work out so well. But now if you use focus, concentration, and this is for the mature audience out there, this is where sex magic really comes into play. Never talked about. Very rarely is sex magic truly talked about. But if you know how to master sex magic, it is a bridge to that lane, that super highway, so to speak, of pure concentration. It's true. It creates life. I mean, how much more freaking intense do you need it to be? It is true. When you figure the average person has something like 60,000 thoughts a day, you come to realize that your life is being prayed about a heck of a lot more than, please God, let me get out of this speeding ticket. You utter when you first notice the flashing red lights. Since you begged for peace of mind today, but you also spent 1,200 thoughts obsessing about the damn coworker who stole your website idea, and you're pissed off and you can't shake it off, and now they're going to get a raise because of your idea. Yeah. Yes, you made the intention to think and grow rich, but you also devoted 500 thoughts to worrying about your overdue car payment. And when you understand prayer for what it really is, it's easier to understand why that one-time plea to God doesn't always pan out. The only reason Jesus could walk on water was because 100% of his thoughts, prayers, believed he could. He had overcome the world's thought system that says only an idiot would be stupid enough to step out of the boat. There was not one doubt, not a single thought, prayer in his consciousness that didn't fully believe it. Your mind is very powerful, no matter how badly you disrespect the privilege, no matter how ineffectual you feel. Every single thought produces form at some level. We know this. Just because those thoughts are screwed up, and believe me, if you're human, at least some of your thoughts are screwed up. How many have some screwed up thoughts? Doesn't make them weak or ineffective. Weak and ineffective at getting what you want, maybe, but never weak and ineffective. So you really need, this is such a great book. Newton's first law of prayer. By choosing your thoughts and by selecting which emotional currents you will release and which you will reinforce, you determine the effect that you will have upon others and the nature of the experience of your life. Gary Zuvak, author of Seed of the Soul. So again, thank you, Klaus. For all of you, this is the fourth one. This is the abracadabra principle. Whatever you focus on expands. Question: can I pull things out of thin air simply by thinking about them? Yeah, here's a thought. Isn't it interesting how this principle works? And you can see it manifest almost right before your eyes. How many of you have experienced in an office situation where a coworker says, I think I'm catching a cold? And the belief in that could be for a number of reasons, who knows? But the fact is, the person says, I believe I am catching, which means that they were pursuing a cold. It's amazing how those little things screw up, isn't it? The hypothesis here is by making the following intention and focusing on its outcome, I can draw it into my life. So my intention, this is a 48-hour project. The approach, I have scanned over the big catalog called the world, and for the sake of this experiment, I have decided that this is what I intend to manifest in the next 48 hours. I will focus on it with all my being, and I will remember what Abraham Hicks likes to say. It is easy to manifest a castle. It is easy to manifest a castle as it is a button. True. So, okay. Now, I got something here. Give me a second. I want to get this pulled up. This one here, folks, I guarantee you it's going to. When I came across this one, I looked at it and I began to read it. And I said, this is perfect for this group. It really is. And because it's not something that, as I started reading it, I'm just shaking my head and I'm going, this is fun. This is actually some good reading. So I want to get into it what time is remaining in here, because we're just going to scan through it very quickly. But I can guarantee you, you're going to say, where did you find a book like that? Well, you know, they're out there. Well, that does kind of balance out that Palmer. Hey, Mark, what's up? I manifest, but it always taken away from me. I tried to get clients to use comedy in ads, got fired, and had first Bitcoin company raided by the government and thrown out of a bank, developed a game about growing weed. Well, Mark, this is just, if you and I were just, you know, having a cup of tea or beer, whatever it may be, might want to have and enlist some help. You know, we angels, maybe talk to Fortuna. Do you know how many people, and this is what makes this egregore so interesting. She's ancient. She's at least 3,000 years old. Maybe older than that. So, Mark, here's to you, buddy. All I'm saying is that, you know, when you were a child, you used to talk to things, right? Sure you did. Give me a second, folks. I don't know why that is out there like that. We all did. It's what made him come alive, become real. So just a suggestion. Poyel is a great angel, by the way. Ariel is another one. So that can change that around. That's all I'm saying, Mark. Don't give up. You obviously have a gift, a great creativity. Don't become discouraged. So, Mark, I'm going to share something with you one-on-one here. I know what that's like. I invented 2 payment systems that were stolen. So, yeah. Don't give up, man. You know, if you have a well that you're drawing from, it doesn't ever dry up unless you stop pulling up from it. So there you go. That's right, Joyce. We don't hit the brakes. Yeah, I like that. Learn from it, and you become wiser. And if you examine and you've seen a pattern, well, then change the pattern. That's it. So that's how I do it. So, all right, I got to get into this next one, folks. Y'all are going to love this. I mean, seriously. This is called the Psychopath's Bible. Yes, that's what it's called, for the extreme individual. This, I have to read this to you. Throughout history, throughout most of the world, psychopaths have gotten a bad rap. That is quite understandable, since almost all of the world's religious and social philosophies have little use for the individual except as a tool to be played in service to their notions of something else, God, or the collective, or the higher good, or some other equally indefinable term. Only rarely, such as in Zen and Tibetan Buddhism, and in some schools of existentialism, is the individual considered primal. Here, finally, is a book which celebrates, encourages, and educates the best part of ourselves, the psychopath. Be warned, this book not only bites, it will chew off your fingers and claw out your eyeballs. Folks, you're going to love this one. And like I said, I'm just going to go through this very quickly. We're just going to skim through it. If you want it, let me know. So I love the picture here. Doesn't this like Orson Welles? And it says, and call it the psychopath's Bible. That's the devil talking to the author, Dr. Hyatt. Yeah, that's an interesting depiction of a creature, isn't it? Who was it that saw the owl on there? I saw the comment. So, yeah, look at the feet. And then, I mean, strange, is it not? So, oh, I love the disclaimer in this. And so we had to talk. Everything in this book is for amusement purposes only. It is all a lie. If you are foolish enough to employ the concepts or exercises, you do so at your own risk. Neither the authors nor the publisher recommend anything. Check with your lawyer, your doctor, and your local police before following any of the suggestions herein. Okay. I mean, does that just get you? All right. So the essence of this book is to A, accept that you are less than you can be and that you want to be more. B, remove all ideas, positive or negative, about yourself. C, if you have the will, then do everything which makes you stronger and stop everything that makes you weaker. D, the means to accomplish this is contained within. Primary to our understanding of the extreme individual is the will to overcome anything which prevents us from reaching our own personal ideal. In opposition to the will to overcome is the fear of losing what we have. When we feel safe, our tendency is to reach out to create, to fulfill our wildest dreams, to challenge the world. Extreme individuals, however, don't wait to feel safe. They simply proceed to overcome obstacles which stand in their way of self-expansion, of going beyond what they are and what they feel. Man wants to triumph, to be victorious in his life, and some men want and need this more than others. These are the extreme individuals, those who push the boundaries of the ordinary. Wow. Okay. And you can see it gets extensive, and it's 3 different manuals, the toxic calculus, the process of de-education, 2 notes to get the time wasters and academics out of the way. You have manual 3, the Nowhere University, some called PU. I love that. Then we have the appendices, and we get into this. So, what is a psychopath? According to the American Heritage Dictionary, a psychopath is a person with an antisocial personality disorder, especially one manifested in aggressive, perverted, criminal, or amoral behavior. Now, there's that word amoral. So that's saying that you have no morals. But if we're alive, do we have no life? I don't know. It says, for years, the market has been flooded with books filled with sweetness and light. This is not one of them. Most people will criticize this book as evil, malevolent, unprincipled, wicked, and pessimistic. It's all of that and worse. It is an evil book with evil ideas. This is necessarily so because this book tells the truth. Truth is always characterized as evil. In some ways, this is a book of social philosophy. In other ways, it is a book of technique. Which it is for you may depend on more your attitude than anything else. The average person will not finish the introduction. After a page or two, most will put it down and return to the mush of the TV set or to the internet. We recommend that you do so. This book is toxic. Most people will be appalled by this book. Many will ignore or dismiss its message as too horrifying even to acknowledge. This is exactly what we want. It advances the work. Indeed, if you are one of the rare few who do not see it thus, we congratulate you, as you are probably already a master and you are already advancing the work. And I got to read the footnote. The weak-minded reader might see this as a dare and read on anyway. Good. That's what we want. On the other hand, you might see right through this transparent challenge, resent being told what to do, as you should, and stop now before you waste your precious time and money. Good. That's what we want. If you do read on, the words double bind might come to mind from time to time. What does that double bind mean? Well, are we already in the beginnings of a spell, an incantation, or are we becoming initiates into a ritual? By the way, we've included lots of footnotes in this foreword to provide an illusion of academic pseudo-intellectualism. We can state with confidence that most people will be appalled or worse because we have already seen it happen. We have noticed that quite a few of the brave souls who read through the earlier editions, the first of which was titled The Toxic Magician, and those who helped test drive this greatly expanded version, have remarked that the first chapters seem rather easy to take despite our dire warning. Indeed, it seemed to them that these first chapters seemed rather lighthearted, even amusing. And then sometime, quite suddenly, they would remark that they felt something change within themselves, and that it seemed that the tone of the book itself changed, and that they began to feel disturbed, sometimes very disturbed. Whether it was the reader or the book itself that changed, we leave that to you to decide and experience. You might even do this experiment for yourself. Read the first 5 chapters or so, see if they seem easy to take, and then keep reading and see if you feel a difference, perhaps a greater sense of dread and malevolence. If you do, go back and reread those first chapters again. Do they still seem as easy to take? Many writers claim to be concerned with the lamentable condition of the human species and purport to present that means to bring man to a higher state of consciousness or evolution, or some such. Dr. Hyatt claims nothing of the sort. Rather, this book is intended as an instruction book for the psychopath, the sort of person who cares nothing for the advancement of the species. Oh, crap. Huh. Are y'all feeling, how many are still there? I can't see, but I hope you are. I mean, you wanted an adventure. I'm giving it to you. All right, so footnote number 2. For those who wonder about the difference between the terms psychopath and sociopath, please note that both the dictionary and psychiatric definitions of the two words are now literally identical. Indeed, they are now referred to as the antisocial personality disorder. This was not always so. We speculate that the merging of these two terms has been done for much, and I got to go all the way down here, much of convenience of those in the psychiatric and criminal justice systems, so that they need only consider behavior and not internal psychological factors. 3, though useful for all psychopaths, this book is particularly written for a group of psychopaths we consider the best and highest of all. In our terms, we call them toxic magicians. More about that later. Much has been written about the psychopath, but very little has been written for the psychopath. I mean, this is like one of those roundabout rides, you're going, okay, all right. Perhaps the best known are the Sun Tzu, The Art of War, and Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince, both written for the political psychopath. At one time, we considered titling the book The New Prince, Machiavelli Revisited, in homage to Machiavelli's work, even though we personally despise all those in and around the political field. Though probably not written specifically for the psychopath, Eric Hoffer's The True Believer, Thoughts on the Nature of Mass Movements, 1951, is essential reading for the practitioner. We are aware of few other useful titles in the nonfiction arena, not in psychology or even in political science, except for a few books classified in the salesmanship category. Most commonly, the psychopath has been depicted in a positive way only in fiction, the popularity of which emphasizes the moth to the flame fascination most people have for the breed. Though we focus mainly on movies, if you like to read, you might want to keep in mind that many of the movies we mention here are in Appendix 1 were derived from books. Some good, some bad. Further, some useful books have not been made into movies at all. Anne Ryan's Atlas Shrugged, 1957, is an excellent example, but they did make a movie out of that. Let's go on. We believe that the most significant quality which makes many of these works so appealing is that the hero, psychopath, is, at least to a large extent, conscious of his values and deliberate in his action. Contrast to the unconsciously driven nutcase in the suspense, terror, horror movies like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Now, that was a weird one. And its numerous clones, these chapters seem to inspire little to no sympathy with the audience. So I want to stop here because a lot has been talked about, more is being talked about. I've even done things on this, on nihilism. We were warned that if nihilism ever took root, it would take humanity. Now, here's the question. Down a road that we should never have been going down? Or is it the road we were destined? It's the movie The Purge. Again, footnote 4. Silence of the Lambs is an example of an excellent movie derived from an excellent book. I mean, who can forget Hannibal Lecter's early activities? The Red Dragon was also quite good. 2 decent movies were derived from the book, Manhunter and the Red Dragon. The third book in the Lecter series, Hannibal, was published in 1999 and made into the movie in 2000. Both the book and the movie were less well received than the others. Nevertheless, it seems clear that after many years, Lecter, his liver, fava beans, and Chianti are still treasured. Chianti, excuse me. The conscious sociopath is often seen as very real and frequently as a rather sympathetic character. This is certainly true of the fictional psychopath and is also true for the real life psychopath much more often than most people would like to admit. Now, again, going further out as to what we're seeing today with nihilism. So I recently read a paper that, social media, it's a new phenomenon. Our species in the written record has never been exposed to it. We had no idea, and we're beginning to find out of, well, all right, so what are the true impacts of this isolation? Because that's what it is. It talks about you become part of a community. Many social platforms are all built on that, as this one is. And emotional bonds are made, friendships, hatreds. I mean, it covers the full gamut. But in the end, it's really just the individual interacting through a medium that we have no idea where it came from, how it came to be. Oh, I know about the invention and all of that. But again, we never consider the spiritual application of things we're doing. And that's what nihilism, that's why it's so nasty. Nihilism doesn't believe in anything. And when I believe a human gets to that point where indifference becomes the norm, wow. It says throughout history, throughout most of the world, real life psychopaths have gotten the bad rap. Isn't that the truth? I'm just skipping through this, folks. And if you want the book, as you can see, it's not a long read. Who are held up in the world as archetypal examples of the psychopaths? Almost without exception, they are violent criminals, the variety, crazed loners, terrorists, spree killers, mass murderers, serial killers are popular characterizations today. Satanists, witches, and their ilk get a play from time to time, but haven't really caught on. You want to know why it hasn't caught on? They're afraid of us. Always have been. And particularly if you have more knowledge than they do, which many of us do. But when you start going down this path, you begin to find out that it's really the psychopaths that actually are leaders. And then you find out, well, they're even deeper into it than what you would ever imagine. Yeah. People in the political and propaganda business love examples of this kind. It gives them a golden opportunity to rabble rouse and pontificate. You don't see CNN or MSNBC or Fox News inviting witches to come on, astrologers. No. They won't invite a person like myself that would bring the occult in, because you know what? It makes them afraid. And here's the thing. They have just enough faith that explodes their fear. And what they're really scared about is that you're going to leave a meeting and you're going to give them a present. They go home and they suddenly start becoming a little edgy. Did that guy really say that there is no Lucifer? But if there was a Lucifer, he would be the one that he would want to be. Did he really say that? Did he say that there are government agencies that are deep into the occult? Did he say that? Yeah. You won't see us on there. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Frequently, they will describe the actions of these terrible peoples as incomprehensible. How many times have we heard that word in the last 2 years? Incomprehensible. That another human would do that. But, we all want to become so self-righteous bigots and hypocrites when these type of situations happen, but yet we allow our own government to massacre unlimited amount of people in various means, economically, socially. I mean, it just goes to the full thing. When motivations are considered at all, such people are usually seen as demented, clinically insane, sexually frustrated. Sexually frustrated, boy, we talk on that one. Politically fanatical and simply as incompetent malcontents. Then comes the litany of assertions of explanations for their behaviors, books, music, video games, television, movies, and the internet, or any other relatively new technology, pornographic, Satanism, social, society, ad nauseum. Now, they don't want to talk to a person that has a counter view. Well, it may be for the fact that humanity is a failed species. We don't deserve to move forward. We should just go ahead and adopt. You don't want to hear that. Oh my God, that would actually circumvent, the powers that are actually doing it. Footnote 6, almost every definition of the term psychopath includes the word criminal as one of its key characteristics. And then if you define criminal is merely the definition of what that society applies to it. The word criminal would have different definitions and different impacts in different parts of the world. 7, not all of these categories are highly stylized and serve as dehumanized the individuals about which they speak. This is a common and important methodology when referring to enemies. You see, if you get really good at slinging these type of words, well, then you can inject them into a more natural nomenclature. One can make a strong case that modern psychiatry is simply a pseudoscience, scientific replacement for and an extension of the witch hunts and inquisitions of earlier times. They hunted our ancestors. They burned us at the stake. They sexually mutilated the females. I mean, and these are the same cats that are in power today, same mindset. The brilliant psychiatrist says, yes, psychiatrist. We are silly. Let's continue. So if this is just the introduction, and as you can see, he gets into a lot of the clinical definitions. Psychopaths are often, get this, glib and superficial, witty, articulate. They can be amusing and entertaining, conversationalists, ready with a quick and clever comeback, and tell unlikely but convincing stories that cast themselves well and are often very likable and charming. Really? Well, that seems like that's the vast majority of a lot of people. And there we go. Egocentric, grandiose, lack of remorse or guilt, lack of empathy. The lack of empathy isn't just in cases of, violence. There's a lot of legislation that is psychopathic, that is deceitful and manipulative. Well, that sounds like a damn politician, a CEO. What? Let's go on. Yeah, I told you this book. Let's see. You have to get this thing, and it just what a book. So the toxic magician. With all these definitions and remarks behind us, it's time to get back to why this book was written. This book was written to applaud, encourage, and counsel the best among this wretched sheep-like species called man. It pulls no punches. It makes no apologies. It minces no words. It applauds the rare individual who writes his own song, plays his own tune, and lives his own life. In particular, it speaks to the particular breed of psychopath, which we call interchangeably the toxic magician and the practitioner or the manipulator. The most affected of these we refer to simply and reverentially as the master. As with all psychopaths, he or she recognizes the pathetic nature of the human condition and takes from it what he or she can. But the toxic magician goes further. He or she encourages homoneuralysis to live life according to his nature. The life Thomas Hobbes characterized as brutish, nasty, and short in Leviathan. He encourages the human race to the precipice. He does what he can to help the species destroy itself and let nature get on with something different. You know, I did that video years ago that Earth was being terraformed. Just did the one recently that the hybrids. And we get stuck into what we define as normalcy. Define normal. The best definition that I have ever come across on normalcy was Star Trek Generations. And I love it when the fact that the character Roddy McDowall was playing, when he got up to Geordie LaForge and looked at his eyes and said, you know, what is this? And he said, well, this is how I see. He says, well, that's not normal. And what was the definition? Normal is what everybody else is, but you aren't. Yeah. Introduction, all this, and as you can see, I'm not going to have enough time to go through all of this, but again, let's just get in past the introduction and let's see. There's obviously some really meat here that I'm scanning through very quickly. It is Manual 1. It is the weak who must tell you they are strong. It is those without love who must make it a law. It is those without will who must tell themselves they have one. It is those who can't shine that need a star. Thusly, the mathematics of the law is, and you can see it, a circle with a dot equals with a circle in the dot. The willful application and direction of man's mind and power to the ends which he desires is the necessary primal force which accomplishes the true organic will of the toxic magician. Often this application will entail doing what normal people call good, for it is the so-called good in itself which, by its very nature, brings about the desired results of the master: confusion, destruction, and the confounding of forces. The manipulator loves people who do good, and even more so, people who think good thoughts. Everything which the establishment and church desire finally brings out its own ruin, and with it, the establishment of higher orders of disorganization. Sounds like chaos theory, doesn't it to you? Which is the goal of the master. An example will serve to illustrate. The church's desire to see the end of a, oh boy, well, won't, now I'm just going to move right on along because as I can see that, too hot of a topic right now. Just the word itself would bring the bots all in. All right. If you want the book, you are welcome to it. It's interesting. And the way I look at it is knowledge is neither good nor bad. And later this next week, we're going to get into a number of books I think you're really going to like. Forgive me, as I was already. So we're going to get into level 1, the fundamentals of psychic development. So there is a series, Sandy Anastasi, she has written, I guess there's about 8 in the series. So anyway, bada boom, bada boom. Psychopaths, who would have thought? And again, if you read as you start skimming through this, you begin to see very quickly, depending on who is speaking, a person of what you would call normalcy could be called a sociopath, psychopath, being now that they're one and the same. I don't know. And I get the feeling that, again, if you have this ability, right, to focus, be extremely committed, well, then that could almost be a potential trait of a sociopath, psychopath. Wow. And if I read the definitions, all of our Congress are social and psychopaths. I mean, by the definition, their very actions would apply. Sorry to that. Like I said, this is not something that you would find proliferated out there amongst the top, viewed videos of the day. I just wanted to bring it out because it's a different way of approach. I'm going to finish reading it. I don't, books like that, I find it amusing that, they put the warning out there, and it's good clickbait. You have to admit, well, ain't no book going to change me on that. I remember when we went through the Satanic Bible with Anton LaVey, it was so interesting when we finished that. I thought one of the emails that stood out the most was a person who was a very devout Christian. And he said, I didn't see what was so terrible about that book. He said, it gave me some great insights. And he said all his life that he has lived in fear of the Satanic Bible. And he says, listening to you when you read it, he says, actually, he thinks it was some good information. So there. Psychopaths are ruling the world. Grace, you're right. You're absolutely correct. Shannon says, I'm so confused. Why is everyone wishing me a happy birthday? It's not until April. Well, it's because we live in multiple time dimensions. So we're all celebrating now. And then, of course, when it comes, if we never said anything, so you can know that we did time travel because that's what we're doing. I love it. Hey, Mary Wins, good to see you. I love the roses. Folks, this is weird. And the way I look at it, if someone wrote this, took the time to write this, and what if it really is a description that kind of allows us to really see, pull the veil back? What if this is a roadmap to the wizard, the one running the show? I don't know. Paul Joe says psychopath is thrown around recklessly that was one of his point. It is because it's so convenient. The problem that we have today is that in this country, and we can thank Ronald Reagan for that, we abandoned the mentally ill. We abandon as a society the compassion, which makes this listen, I'm just going to lay it out there. If you go by the definition, the American society is psychopathic because we turned out 1.5 million mentally ill patients onto the streets. And that just started a cascading of a whole set of problems that we're seeing today. We no longer take mental health seriously. Why? Because it's been reduced to a pseudoscience. Or we try to do the shortcut and just give people drugs. Well, let's just change the chemical imbalance in your brain. Really? Really? And how many years of study do you have on this? Well, we've got decades. And how old is mankind? Well, you have to understand we're more advanced. Are we? I mean, face it. Mental illness in America, and I dare say the world, is out of control. But the problem is now it would be exploited by those in power. It would be used as an exploitation to even make things worse. Okay, well, that's my 2 cents worth. All right, moving on. Yeah, the follow was just an opinion, but that is, I really do believe that. Think about it. Back in the day, the sanitariums is what they called them. They're popular, ghost hunting places, because these places, many of them were huge. 5,000 patients in one facility. So do you think we've advanced so far that if they had this all around the country, these sanitariums were everywhere? Yeah. Joe, you're welcome. All right. All right, it's true. That's if you want to know where Paul got that, I'll give you the book where he got that from. But anyway, okay, folks, there we go. It's a wonderful medicine. It is, Ginger. Folks, we'll see you tomorrow. I'll try to get the panel back. I haven't been there a little while, so hope you found this. It's part of our day. We've got to do something. We got to do something. Man, I'll tell you, if some of us can just put the brake on a little bit, it's like, let's slow this thing down. All right, folks, well, have yourself a fabulous day. Love wins all the time, Mary. It does. It does. And, love is not touchy. It's not frightful. It isn't vainglorious, doesn't seek its own ways or its own rights. Never it takes into account a suffered wrong, always sees the best of every person. Yeah. I like that. Love upholds under all things. It never fails. Know it because it's in there. That's it. Them words, they're in there. All right. Ears says awareness is a start. It does. It always helps, doesn't it? Okay, Emperor Rex making mad money. Right. Much love, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Life is good. It really is. Continue to do the experiments. Challenge that FP. Tell it to wow you off your feet. It'll do it. Until then, we'll see ya. Have a great one. All right.